My name is Anthony Smith.
Mark needs an Advent story. Community Mission House, Bible Lab. We've been, over the last 6 months, going through the Gospel of Mark. That really is slowly. Right? We've spent a whole month on one chapter, slowly reading the text. So man, we've been studying the Gospel of Mark. Studying is probably a bad word. More like listening and waiting, sitting with the Bible and allowing Mark to speak to us and surprise us in ways. One of the biggest ones in that story is the fact that Mark is, the first verse, it starts out with the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, right? It starts the whole thing with John the Baptist, and then Jesus shows up, and then he's baptized, and then bam! It's like, bam! And he's using these big Roman imperial terms, these big words, these enormous words out of Israel's story of a coming Messiah, and he puts Jesus on it. Nobody. Somebody who literally comes from nowhere. And then all of a sudden, man, John the Baptist shows up and he's dunking people. He's calling people back to the story of how God, wants Israel to be a light to the nations, to be a nation of justice. And he's calling people back in baptism, ritual cleansing, calling them back to a life of living out and embodying God's shalom, right? So Jesus gets into that whole thing with John. He comes out the water, and the Spirit literally tears open the heavens, it says. And Mark uses a word when he says, and the heavens tore. There's Luke and Matthew give a more PG version of it. It says the heavens open in their Gospels. But Mark says he tore it. Sort of echoing Isaiah, when Isaiah says, "Oh Lord, that you would rend, tear the heavens." So literally, I think, we're talking about the advent of baby Jesus. We're talking about the advent of the Spirit onto Jesus to begin his ministry. Literally, God kicks in the door of an old world. God is on the loose. God is a beast. And so he just unloads the world through Jesus. This is advent of the Spirit on Jesus. And then, a part of that is that it says, the Spirit descends like a dove on the Jesus, which, other time that happens, something like that happens is the days of Noah. When the dove comes back to alert Noah and his family that a whole new world is here now. And this is what happens with the advent of the Spirit, to alert us, to remind us, and to invite us into this new world that has erupted, that has shown up on the scene of an old stage. What we're discovering is that Mark is literally inviting us every single day to participate in that new world. That in crazy, creative, imaginative, painful ways sometimes, this new world is showing up in the midst of this present world. On my street, on my block, at work, at home, and just wherever we traverse in our community. We're talking about doing things like missional community, for instance. Right? What we're discovering is the Bible really does invite us into this kind of life. If we just slowly read the text together and listen and try to set aside or suspend judgment, suspend our own little quirks and opinions and interpretations, but just allow the text to speak to us corporately. I know Mark doesn't have a traditional Advent story, but although we are surprised in Mark, the world is torn. We're surprised by the Spirit. So I guess there's sort of an Advent story there. Not in the traditional sense. We're not surprised by baby Jesus. We're surprised by the Spirit. Boo! Old world. The question is, and I invite you into this, how will you participate in that new world that's been unleashed by the Holy Spirit's advent in Mark 1?